Hello, everybody. This is Catalin. This is the Dance for Life show, and today I have a really, really special guest. His name is Dirk Heidemann, and you can probably spell it better than me, but he's an amazing person, and I would really love to learn more about him and his story and everything, and I'm really glad to have him on the show. So thank you so much for joining in, Dirk, and I'm really looking forward to this podcast.
Hello, yeah, thank you for having me, and you spelled my name very good, so it's Dirk Heidemann, so it's correct.
I'm glad. So Dirk, for those people that do not know you, can you give me a 1-minute introduction on who you are and what you do, and all sorts of things that people need to know about you, so that they can know like a little bit of context on you.
Okay, so I'm a West Berliner, native West Berliner from Germany, and I live already again in Berlin and in USA, half and half, because I have a studio in Manchester, Connecticut, and I'm working mainly for WDSF, or I think only for WDSF, as a trainer worldwide. So I go to China, I go to Taiwan, I go to Russia, I go to to all countries, and I'm traveling a lot. And yes, and I also do television now, or I did television for 10 years. I was choreographer of German Idol for some years, and I was had my own television show, which was a disaster because the cut was very bad, and the company of the TV company went bankrupt. So that means they changed all the people, and they cut it in a very bad way, and so it was broadcasted, I think, at 11 o'clock in the morning on RTL in Germany, and nobody saw that. So it was a disaster. But now I have I get this opportunity, or I got it, to be one of the judges in Dancing with the Stars in Austria. And that was really successful, because I must say the Austrians are nice people, and they like me because I'm a Berliner. I'm a very typical Berliner. I'm very open. I'm talking a lot. I'm talking very fast. I'm a very quick, fast person. And they like they say Wiener Schmäh. It's like charm, they like it in Austria. I don't know. So it was very successful. The whole show. There were 10 shows, and it finished in June. And I think I will be there next year again. And so this is my work now. And so yeah, I'm very fine. And it's going better and better. I'm not now in the business I started as a professional in 1979.
Yeah. Okay. So take me back a little bit on how you started. Like how you started. Why did you choose to do this in the first place? I'm assuming it was not completely popular like it is today. Like how did you start it? Like, did your parents have you do it, or you had a wish for it? Like how did it all start for you in the journey in dance sport?
Okay, so very easy. So I loved to dance when I was a little child. And I always, when my parents, at this time, it was very in fashion to give parties, in the house. And when my parents had a party with friends, I always, before I had to go to bed at 8 o'clock. It was Saturday mostly. I was dancing at this time it was beat, not disco. It was a time before disco came up in the 60s. Late 60s. And I was dancing before I went to bed, I was dancing on the carpet in front of everybody. I was dancing some beat things, to some popular music. And then my mother said to me, okay, let's take him to a dance school. And so I went to the very famous dance school, Richard Keller in Berlin, which still exists with 5 studios. That's a very famous school. All the politicians and whatever, all the famous people from Berlin went to the school. And then I was at 1970. I started. And then I was successful at this time. It was pupils. It was called pupil, and not juvenile,
right.
Yeah. So I did my first competition with 10, and then I was, also, I think German juvenile champion 1973 or something like that. I forget it. It's too long ago. And all my trophies are in a suitcase in my basement, so I didn't see them for 20 years, So And yes, and then I was dancing, and I was with my partner. I always had the same partner in the amateurs, and I was second in the A class championship, German championship. And I was 16 at that time, because I went up very fast because we need points, and placings. And so because even I was very young, I went up very fast. So I was with 17, I was in the S class, which was the highest class. And then after that, I had to choose what I do after making my finished high school. And then I studied fashion, I started to study fashion. And because I'm a very fashion person, that, all of my photos I think for sure. There are a lot. And I'm still like that because that's also how can I say, my brand, my trademark, my
signature.
Signature is that I'm the colorful one. And but I was still dancing a lot. And so I decided to stop that. And I went to education as a dance teacher. And that was at the time when WDC was educating all these people and the teachers. And I had to start with 2 years education of dance teachers, then 1 year dance sport trainer, then 1 year more for a license. And so I have now it's in Germany, very easy. You can do that in 10 weeks. You can make some seminars and then you have the test and that's it. And at this time I started in 1980, and I finished 1983 after 3 years. And this time you learned everything. You learned behavior. You learned how to treat a woman in a nice way on a ball, at a ball, or how to to present, to be a presenter, to talk in front of people. And then of course all technique books, all the Alex Moore standard and the popular variation and the Latin, the ISTD technical Latin and the popular variations. So we had to learn a lot. And I was really throwing my books sometimes out of the window because I went crazy with this precedes and follows, and they were always nearly the same, but not really the same. And a quick step was different from waltz, and I went crazy. But at the end, I made it. Oh, and very good, I must say, because I learned everything really like crazy. And so I was the youngest professional with 17 in 1979. I was before my 18th birthday, I was dancing the 10 dance professional German championship.
Right.
And I was not so bad. I was 7th place because I was in Latin, I was on 4th position, but in standard on whatever, not so good. And but I was 7th. That was not bad for a 17-year-old boy at this time in the professionals. And all these icons at this time who were dancing, they were about 35, or 30. Yeah. And I was really the youngster together with Michael Hull. Maybe you remember Michael Hull.
I do.
But he was older than me. He's 1 year older. And then I was a very young trainer and in West Berlin, and I started to work. At this time, it was not, which was very good. It was not possible as an amateur to teach. So I remember Rüdiger Knag, a very good colleague of mine from Germany, who was also world champion or vice world champion. I don't know, but he was a German champion in standard, in ballroom. And he was driving taxi. Can you imagine? He was already in the final of the world championship. He was a German champion and he was driving taxi for earning money. So It was not possible to teach as an amateur like it is in England or in the WDC still. You know what I mean? And that was, in a way, it's already so expensive with all these competitions in China and you have to go this country. So the couples need money if they have no sponsors. So I understand it. But I must say that the respect, especially in Germany, from the amateur couples to the professional trainer went down totally. Yeah. So there are so many trainers. Yes. So many couples who are good couples, and maybe also work good, they do good work with the young couples, but they are not totally non-respectful to the professionals, even they are like me since 38 years of the business or something like that, or even I don't look like this. On this video here, I look like 72, but normally I look younger. So, it's a great loss in these years, the respect in that, how can I say, sport? I don't want to say business. I want to say sport. The respect from the non-educated dancers who are teaching, and to the people who have their achievements and their experience.
Right.
This is something which makes me very angry sometimes.
Interesting. And I would like to talk more about specific things like that at the end. I really have a question on that. What do you? So I'm really curious. When you started, you were saying that you were one of the youngsters, and you were one of the youngest people to ever be in those type of groups of people at that level of performance. What do you think was the difference between you and them? Like, what motivated you differently? Like, what made you, for example, choose to be a trainer and not go down to the fashion route completely? Like, what was that thing that drove you in that direction? What do you think?
Yeah, I must say, I love still, even still after 38 years, I still love to teach. Yeah, I love to teach, and I also, when I started as a trainer, I was more interested in my young couples I started with, than in my own dancing. So my own dancing went down. I didn't train enough, and so the results were bad. Then I was starting also to being a model. So I was modeling. I was looking very good when I was young, and so I started to do that. But I always I went to New York, I went to London, I went blah blah blah, and but I always did my education as a trainer still at this time. And then also I was always teaching. And when I went from West Berlin, I was living in West Berlin. I got an invitation to Hamburg to be the new Latin trainer in a very famous club there. And there was Mr., for sure, Mr. Marco Sietas, or in German, Marco Zitas, the former sports director of WSF. And he was 12 years old. And I was 22. 21, because he's 11 years younger.
Right.
Wrong. Whatever. So he was 12 years old. I was something. And so he was my first champion. He was my first Hamburg, and then also North German champion in the pupils class, so juvenile. And when he was 12, or juniors 1, it would be now juniors 1. Marco Zitas and Catalin König, and I was very close with the family still now, and so I have a lot of things what I did with Marco. I also did a fashion show with Marco where I did the choreography, and he was modeling because he was looking awesome when he was young. He still looks good, so I have a very, 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 very long friendship with Marco. Yes, already I miss him a little bit because he's out of the business in WDSF. But that is funny because I know him really like as a kid, and I know so I followed his way until to being the sports director of the WBSF, and
right.
Yes, and this was and that was I must say I had my ups and downs, and you always have your ups and downs, and I always. Sometimes I thought I want to finish that because you do a lot for people, you help a lot of people. You pay sometimes they didn't pay for lessons because they had no money or something. And always from that people, except Marcos Zitas, I must say, or Sietas in Spanish. All these people, the people you did mostly for, they give you a kick in the ass.
Interesting. And so,
yes, but the other ones, you give lessons and say, okay, nice. They are with you until they stop to dance, and, so I also opened the dance school in Hamburg because I was split up with dancesport, but then I sold it because I was not satisfied from that.
So when did you start? When did you start first training other couples? What was your age?
In 1979.
1979. 18. You were 18.
Yeah. 18, yeah.
Right. And could you talk to me a little bit more on? Because you've had some amazing couples along your journey, and you definitely have a unique style of teaching. And what do you think is your unique style of teaching? Like, how do you approach? Like, let's take it a little bit there, if you want to do that. Yeah. What do you think is your style of teaching? Like, how do you approach couples? How do you adjust what you do for each couple? Like, how do you approach it? You probably know better how to ask the question.
Yes.
So,
the first thing is when I teach. I always, the most important thing is to be positive. And the most important thing is to be clear, honest, but always positive, and never showing any negativity. There are a lot of trainers who first say, oh, I'm a world champion, and what is this, what you do? I cannot, it's so bad. This is something the couples first don't want to hear, and second, they don't improve from that,
Right.
So that means you say, okay, listen to me. I like you very much, but, this is, and this, and this. And this, I must say, I'm very, very clear. I'm not somebody who say, oh, it's so very nice, la, 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 just do a little bit, la, la, la. This is not my style of teaching. I'm very, very clear, but I'm always very positive, and positive energies are the most important thing in dancing. And I think in the world, in all that bad world we are living today, it's to be positive. It's very, very important. Otherwise, you can suicide also.
Yeah, I approve of that.
Yeah.
And how do you so in your teaching, for example, what do you think are other things that you kind of like do? Probably a lot of them you're doing subconsciously because it's like you're putting yourself there and you're sharing yourself with your couples. But what do you how do you take a couple from a place and put them to the other one? Do you motivate them? Do you have a certain routine that you share with them and they have to respect that, or they do their thing? Like, tell me more.
Yeah, I think I can give a lot of motivation to couples. I think so, because I give them positive energies, and I try to be focused on the positive things of the positive skills. You know what I mean? Of the
right.
What they can do good and what they can do not so good. And but in my way of teaching, or in that what I want to see is first quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quality is important. I want to see a couple partnering is important, and then for me, good taste is very, very important.
Good taste.
Good taste in everything, in movements, especially in movements, but also in the outfit. Even I don't have to judge that, but of course, it's a package. We always said Lorraine. You remember Lorraine from the partner from what that Lorraine said to me once. It's a package. It's the dancing. It's the person. It's the dress. It's it's everything. It's a package, and this must be symbiosis. Which fits together. The way they are, the personality, the outfit, the way of dancing, it has to fit together. And that makes a star. And it must be in a way, it has to be in a way unique. If they say from a couple, oh, that's a very nice couple. Oh, that's a very nice couple. That is, at the end, not interesting. They have to say, I love that couple, or I hate that couple. And the same thing is what in my life, I have a lot of friends in dance sport, but I have also some people who don't like me, of course, but I'm happy. I don't, I gave already a lecture in Italy, and the name of the lecture was How to Be Yourself.
Interesting.
Yes. And it's also on YouTube. You can see that. Mm-hmm. And, it was just 3 weeks ago. And, it was a very short lecture because we had, all trainers had only 15 minutes time. And, I said I choose the music from Diana Ross, I'm Coming Out, for my entry. So a little bit over the top, And I came out in a sacco with some glittering chains and blah, blah, blah. And then, I did this lecture with Alina Novak and Edgar Marcos together. They presented the Rumba then. And then I asked the people, do you like my outfit? And then I went to some Italians and they said, oh, yes, nice, because they were afraid to say no. Then I went to some Chinese couples. I said, do you like my outfit? Because the room was full with 2,000 people. And they said, yeah. And then one senior dancer, senior 2 dancer, from Germany, Mr. Pickers, very nice man. He stood up and said, no, I don't like your outfit. And I said, and I don't care. You understand? So,
right.
Because, I don't care. Of course I want to be, how can I say? Every human being wants to be loved in a way, but I don't want to be loved from everybody. There are some people I don't want to be loved from because these people are not my cup of tea, because they are in dance sport. Even a lot of people who are really first anti-gay. Right. Which is impossible. Because when you remember that I had already a discussion about that in Italy also. When I was dancing professional in my late time when I danced only show dance and I went after 10 years break, I went back to the competition. And I did the final immediately in show dance professional at a time when they were dancing the top couples. Not now in show dance, they are not so WDC. Huh? Not everybody is doing show dance anymore. Not the best couples. At this time, really the good couples were dancing. And I was, I think, fourth in the world championship. That was 1993. At this time, if you want to hear that, because that's also a big issue in dance sport, the whole final and nearly semi-final, everybody was gay. But that was, it is not that that we need that, and this is very good, or if they are not, it's not good, but it was like that. And that the reason is that I will tell you, at this time there were no Russia, there was no Romania, there was no nothing, because you have Ceausescu and the borders were closed. So there was no dance sport in these countries. And in the Western countries, when you were a dancer in the school, and you went to school as a boy with 12, 13, 14, they said, what, you're a dancer? So you must play football. Well, why you're a dancer? So you're gay. So a lot of
there is. I want to stay there a little bit. I think that's really interesting. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this male stigma. Like how is it portrayed onto people? Like if you're a dancer and you're especially a guy, like that's portrayed as being, oh, why would you do that? Like why don't you play basketball or football? Like how do you feel about that?
For me personally,
yes,
sure. I always wanted to dance, and I never was interested in football or whatever ball. I don't like sports. I go every second day if I have time. Even I'm in China, I go to the gym, to keep my body in the shape I had in 1979, and it's still the same, I must say. And it was just I decided for that was 17 or to start with 9 years old, but there was never a question why I do it, or do I have to do that because I'm a boy and I have to play football or whatever. I didn't ask me that because I give a shit what other people said. I was also in the school, I always was an anarchist. When you see some old photos from me from when I was in New York in the Studio 54, I looked like David Bowie and Grace Jones together. So, I always was different from other people, and I like that. And I was always in the school, I was always the spokesperson from the class because I always was the loudest one. And it never, I didn't care what people say about me, But when we talk about that topic, it's for other boys who were, changed from a boy to a man at this age with 12, 13, 14. They don't feel good when people say, oh, you're a dancer, maybe you are gay. So they stopped dancing. You understand? And only the gays survived at this time, And
that's interesting.
It's really like that. It's really like that. I don't want to drop names now. Already I was chatting with somebody on Facebook, a good friend from Canada also, about this. And it was really that only the gays survived. And when the Cold War was over and the walls came down, the borders went down in Romania and all East Europe, in these countries, I think in Romania as well, I don't think so, but for sure in Russia, for sure in China, Ukraine, if you are a dancer, it's great. You are the star in the school because they have a dancing history. As well in Italy, they have a dancing history. The other countries, maybe Austria has the Viennese Waltz, but that's it. Germany has whatever, no dance. So we have not this dancing history. When you are in the East Europe or in the Eastern world, as also in Asia, when you are a dancer, you are the star of your class.
So there's there's a major difference in culture and the history of.
Yes, in culture, yeah. Of course. And so we now have everybody there's no, maybe some, but it's totally heterosexual now, that sport, but it's okay. Why not? If they accept. The funny thing is that this new generation is hetero, and the former generation who are now the trainers and judges, not everybody, but not from Russia for sure, but a lot from a lot of, are now gay from the judges and trainers from the last generation, and,
right.
I don't want to make a big issue of gay or not gay, but this is for me a thing because there starts very homophobic how can I say, movement, especially in Russia, especially also because of the politics of Putin. And, when I was in Russia, I'm teaching a lot in Russia, when Conchita was winning the Eurovision Song Contest. You remember that? And she had this great song, Rise Like a Phoenix, and a friend of mine changed it a little bit faster, and he put some rumba rhythm on it, so it was a great rumba, but original sung performed from Conchita. And I used that in the studio, and there were a lot of I don't want to say names, a lot of very famous Russian couples around the studio. And everybody came, it was 2014, everybody came with a stick because I had my computer. And they came with a stick and said, what is this? What rumba? I want to have this rumba. Give me the rumba. They want the rumba because it's so great. I said, it's Conchita. Nobody wants.
And I think that's true, and I believe you've probably seen this too. Like, people are slowly becoming more open-minded about that.
But maybe in Romania, but not in Russia.
I mean,
Russia and not in Turkey.
Yeah,
this goes back. Goes back to the roots. And it's yes. I don't care because I live in a free country. I live half in USA and in Germany. So I live in a free country, but I see what happened. When I'm in Russia, I go to my hotel, I go to the training hall, I go to eat, I go to my hotel, I go to the airport. I never walk on the street. Even I'm wearing my oldest T-shirt and an old broken jeans and some sneakers and a base cap. I look in a way different. So the people watch me or look at me that I don't feel comfortable.
And that's okay.
In Romania, it's a little bit different. It's different. But in Russia or Ukraine, it's white Russia, Belarus, Mamma Mia, I was there also. I don't like to. The people are lovely there in the dance sport. Lovely people, also in Russia, very lovely people. But the majority of the people isn't non-tolerant, non-liberal people because they are dictated from the government like that and educated from the parents. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. In some countries and cultures more than others and faster, but I think slowly but surely we're going in the good direction. So, I would really, because I've read about you, I've made my research, and I've also knew about you from the past and everything. I'm really curious about learning more on what you think. You told me quality about couples, so I would like to go in that direction a little bit. What do you think makes a great couple? Like, what do you think are 5 things that you're looking as a judge in a couple, and you are training couples in order to gain? Like, what do you think are those 5 things? Those could be character traits, like whatever you think and you have seen makes a great couple. So
the first and most important thing is personality. What I told you before, and if you have personality, you will always have some people who love you and some people who don't love you. If you have a very, very great personality, because you really show up what you are. And when you see, like, for example, I can say the names, when you see, in my opinion, 2 of the best couples in the world already in WDSF. That's Gabriele Goffredo and Anna Matos, and Armin Sartorian and Svetlana Gudino. They are totally different. And some love Goffredo and don't like Armin, and some love Armin and don't like Gabriel. So, but both couples are very, very strong personalities, very different in the dancing. So this is the first thing, of course. Then you need to have, for me, it's very important also when I judge, you need to have a posture.
So posture.
You need to have to be balanced very well.
Okay.
And you need a good taste in your movements. That's important. For me, is in choreography not very important that you do 300 spins, or that she's falling in a split and he's also falling in a split, and whatever they do. I don't like, I also work with people who do that, because that is their personality. When you, for example, my really beloved, like son and dancing, Artyom Liaskovsky from Israel, who's doing Liaskovsky salto and all this stuff. that is him. It's him. If you would take it away, it's not him anymore. And some people love and some people hate. And I did this salto when he's jumping in Paso Doble, and the second highlight, he's doing a salto in the air. He's turning in the air. I did this. And the people said, when Marcus Jettas was chairman, he said, not allowed, it's too dangerous, and he never was dancing when Marcus was. Yeah. And, so he was always dancing sometimes, and the audience was on the tables, when he did that. Mm-hmm. And this is also a thing, as I told you, personality, yeah, and to be special, yeah, to be special, to have a unique personality in dancing, the posture, the balance, the connection in the couple. That's important because that is typical for Latin American dancing. And then, of course, the good taste in movements, and of course also in the outfitting, but of course, because we have to, or the judges have to judge the dancing, not the outfit. So it's more the good taste in the movements.
Right. And do you think, so first off, that's really interesting. Do you think the same elements are when you're talking about a good performance of a couple? Or for example, do you watch technique in a couple's performance hardly? Or is that something that you see as a complete package? And yes. How do you see performance too?
It's a complete package. Even you can, for example, when you see a standard couple, when I judge standard ballroom, I can see, I don't need to look at the feet I can see in the top line if there's some wrong footwork. You understand? So yeah, that means technique is, you use technique not for showing good technique. You use technique for looking better, being more balanced, being more connected, have more flow, have more natural movement. You use technique to look good. It's not to use technique to show technique.
Interesting. So it's not a goal. It's just a means to get to something.
It's the way to get to something. Yeah. For that you need the technique. If you just do the technique, or you are just focused on technique, some judges, they are looking at the feet to show up that they have an idea of technique. That's so stupid, because you don't need to look at the feet. You can see in the body if there's something wrong with the feet. You understand?
Interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. I have a couple of things that I think are really important, especially for the people watching. Most of them are dancers. Some of them are teachers. Some of them are parents. So there's all sorts of people that are going to be listening to this. I really think an important thing to talk about is, three important things to talk about is mindset, nutrition, and physical training. And I would love to start with mindset, because you seem to be, to me, a really mindset-oriented person, and I think that's really interesting. So what do you think would be in you things that you have developed as character and as personal traits, and maybe you've read a lot and that made you discover things about yourself, or maybe you've, I don't know exactly, but what do you think is your core mindset that makes you be so good at what you do, and that makes other dancers be good at what they do, but especially I'm talking in your case?
Yeah. So the first thing is that, I'm always myself, as I told you. I'm always myself.
Right.
Of course, when I'm in the television, in Dancing Stars, okay, I will not talk in a way I talk to you now, in an interview. I'm a little bit more charming and a little bit more elegant. I'm a bit blah, blah, blah. So it's television. But when I'm, I didn't change when I see videos of mine, or also when I was already, maybe you can watch on my Facebook site, I uploaded already. I found a very old-fashioned show I was presenting. I was 22 years old. Wow. And it's already there on Facebook. And I was presenting. And when I see me there, I didn't change. Okay, I look a little bit older and I was slimmer when I see that. But I didn't change essentially. I just developed, improved. And, life is lessons. If you don't learn, you get old.
Right.
Life is lessons. Even I'm 56 years old now. And, I have so many bad experiences and so many wonderful experiences. And because I'm a positive person, I can always deal with that. And I must say, I'm a survivor. and I like survivors. You know,
Right.
I like all these big divas who are the survivor divas. You know, and I'm also a diva, I must say. They always say that I'm a diva, so I am a divo with
Right.
O, a male diva. I am, and I must say I like the survivors, and I think I am a survivor, and I have a very strong character and very strong personality to to do not care and to survive also the bad times. You know what I mean? The bad times or some really very bad things where people embarrass really when they really did bad things to me, and or I had a bad experience. To survive that and say, okay, okay, I will, next year will be better, and then to be always positive. I walk on the street and the people have a gray face and they don't smile, and I give them a smile and they smile back. You must try that out. It's really like that.
It's
you
really,
know?
yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is that something you developed yourself? Is that something
Yes.
that you've
Yes.
had from your parents, from the way they taught you?
No, that is what I did. That is
Interesting.
maybe from my grandfather, not from my parents. I had lovely parents, and they really lovely parents. But I'm a little bit like my mother, you know. And I'm talking fast. I know my mother was a very chic city woman from Berlin, you know, very chic one, very Marilyn Monroe style, you know.
Right.
And I'm a little bit like that, you know, in my whatever, in my personality. But also I'm very grounded. So that means I always was saving money. You know, I buy a lot of expensive things, and I love Louis Vuitton, I love Gucci, and I love Dolce & Gabbana, and I have really a cabinet of all that stuff, what I was buying in the last 30 years. But I always was saving money. So if I'm going out of fashion in this for a while or whatever, but I don't think so, because it's going more and more up, you know. Even I'm getting older, you know. Normally some people my age, they stop, and I'm more busy than 10 years ago. And I always was saving money. So to be safe if there's nothing, so I can, you know.
Right.
I'm very German.
Right.
Very German. Save money, you know, but not sell. And
Right.
going to the bus if I have time. Today I have time because I leave at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm leaving to Kassel, a city in Germany, to teach 3 days there. And I'm going by bus because I have time for using a taxi. You know, so I save 20 euro, you know.
Yeah.
Like
why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? Because I've always been fascinated by this, and you kind of told me the answer a little bit to the question. But what do you think about work ethic? What do you think about talent? Because I've heard a lot of people, and I've seen this a lot in my practice and in my teachers, in my colleagues, and all other dancers I've been around. Like they say, "Oh, I don't have talent. I cannot do that." What do you think about the mix between work ethic? How do you see that? How do you see hard work as an element of actually being a good dancer? And how do you see that versus talent?
Yeah, I can say talent are 15 to 20%. And the rest is hard working, surviving to having no success, you know, going on, you know, because that's what is a long-term thing.
Mm-hmm.
What can people say? Like Adam Saturian, who was, you know, was European champion. Then he was fourth. Then he was winning German Open. Then next year he was fourth. I know people who would stop after that and say, I'm not interested, but they are survivors. The same with the Gofredo, you know, now he's world champion, but he was fighting for that years, you know, and you must survive. You must work very hard. I must say all my world champions, and I have a lot, I must say, I'm proud of that. They were not my most talented couples, because most talented who really were also a little bit freaky, of course, you know, and a lot of talented artists, you know, really when I say wow, personalities, they went to Dancing with the Stars. They went to Burn the Floor. They went to a ship to dance there. They went to casting shows, or they went at the end to dance in the theater, whatever, because they didn't. They want to do something else. They want to have it more easy.
They took the easier route, right?
The easy route, and they don't want all to have this you know, ups and downs and ups and downs. But this is a dance sport like that, and there are different opinions. There is, I don't want to say that there is politics, but there's, Donny Burns always said very clear, there is 90% politic and 10% dancing. This is not what I don't agree with that. Because, if you see the world champion, the second, the third, they are the best. They are the best. It's not possible just with politic to go into a final. It's possible with politic to make one round more or whatever. But at the end, if you are not good, you will not win. So it was always the best couple at this time was also the world or European champion. So there's less politic than people think.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about, your, and kind of not maybe yours, but, how does your normal day look like? I'm curious about your routines, your habits. Do you read? Do you watch videos on YouTube? Do you journal? Do you do something in the morning? Do you do something at night? Like, how does your normal day look like? And do you have something specific on it? Like, how does that look like for you?
Yeah. So it's different if I'm at home or if I'm traveling, because I'm 3 days at home. That were my last 3 days, and now it's finished until November and end of November, I think. Yes, I have maybe one day in between free, but nothing else. The first thing is I wake up and I don't know where I am.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I was falling out of the bed sometimes because I was in Israel and the bed was on the wall, and I had to exit the bed on the right side, and then the next day I was in whatever, and it was the other side. So I was nearly falling out of the bed, and really I wake up in the morning and I said to myself, okay, Berlin, nice. Or I wake up and okay, Russia, or China. But so that's the first thing. And when I have some free days, or even I have no free days, I always go to the gym every second day. That's really very important for me. I always go to my hairdresser. I love to go to my hairdresser. This is also a ritual, if you can say. It's something that I like to do. And, I'm reading a lot of, I'm reading newspapers, the good newspapers. I'm always try to be informed about all these Putins and all these North Korea things and all the Erdogans and all the Trumps. I'm a very politic person. I'm also a member of the Liberal Party in Germany. And I'm a big fan of Angela Merkel, I must say. I love her, and I hope that I think she will be elected again. There's nobody else. And I'm a very politic person. And they ask me always to go into the politics, my party asked me. And I said, okay, but then, no time. If nobody would book me anymore, I maybe go to the politics. I don't know, because I have my very clear opinion and very, very clear opinion. And I would like to say that, because I don't do that here. I don't do that on Facebook or on dancesport, because this is not good. You cannot talk bad about this leader or that leader because you will go to these countries. You must be a little bit neutral, So, but if I would be a politician, I would be very clear,
And what are other things? What are these things you're doing in your day?
I like to, what can I say? I listen to music. I watch YouTube sometimes. Also, I watched YouTube. I watched, I already was watching West Side Story again, the dance scenes, the Sweet Charity musicals. I watched old videos from not the very old, but from American couples like Vernon Brock and Linda Dean. So very from the 70s, who did very, very interesting things. So I tried to look to other kinds of dances, to use that for our dancing. And then I like to go shopping as well. So that's something, and having a dinner with friends. I had already a dinner with some friends I was already connected on Facebook every week, but I didn't see them for 5 years. So, and I had the chance to meet them because I had some days free. But I'm on the other side. I'm a gypsy. You are from Romania. You are used to gypsies.
Yes.
That means, yeah. And I like to travel, I don't like to travel by train. That's very boring, but I like to be on the airport, and I like to go, if even there's a delay, it's not so, if there's a delay, it's not so nice, but, I like to travel. I like hotels. And I think they always told me, or for me, it's like this. If you have a wish and you sell that, I'm very sure that wishes come true. And when I was maybe 25 years starting to travel, and I was in Leipzig, a city in Germany, in a hotel, and I was teaching, and they went to my hotel room, and I opened the door, and I said, oh, I love that. I want to go on like that, always traveling and always teaching in other places, and that wish came true. Yeah. So that means that was 25 years ago, and that was Leipzig. Then it starts with whatever, with Norway or Austria. And then now already I'm invited to the Philippines and to the Mongolia and New Zealand, China, Taiwan, and, I'm going all over the world. And this is, I'm really happy. I'm a happy person. I must say I'm lucky also, but I must say I also worked hard. It's not that it was just presenting myself as I present myself in the public, as a television, blah, 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 and the fashion icon or whatever. There's this dancesport Wikipedia, dancesport wiki called, and there must be a stalker, a real fan of mine. He wrote so nice about me, and did you read that? Unbelievable,
It's so accurate.
Yes. And I said, what? Mamma mia, I never would write that about me, but thank you very much, And he knew everything. He knew everything what I did during the Olympic Games in China, the presentation shows, and not the opening show. I didn't do that. That's fake news.
Right.
Okay. But I do some other shows during and before the Olympic Games. And what I did in television in China, and what, he knew really everything until now that I'm a judge in the Austrian version of Dancing with the Stars. So, yes, and that when I read about myself, that makes me proud, but this is essence of the result of 38 years surviving in that, whatever that is, in that microcosmos of dance sport.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's really interesting. And, you've told me about that the fact that you go to the gym every day. I think that's really interesting, and something that I've noticed that a lot of people overlook is their nutrition and physical training. How do you look at those things? Like, do you have a specific diet that you keep? Do you think it's important to have that? Like, do you take any vitamins or supplements, or like anything that you would recommend, that you would take and you recommend to couples as well as physical training? So let's start with nutrition. How do you approach that for yourself?
Yeah. So I use vitamin pills a lot. They're from a company. I don't want to say the company, but it's also the German football team and also the Olympic team from Germany. They take that. It's some from red fruits, some from lemon fruits, and some from vegetables, and you have to take them. I eat a lot of protein, so I'm a fan of meat. I like meat, but I also like potatoes, and potatoes are poison. Potatoes, it's the worst, So I always eat a lot of chicken, a lot of fish, a lot of vegetables. The thing is that sometimes I like to drink a glass of wine in the evening. That is not so good, but I started to do less, because that has a lot of calories.
Right.
So I eat my proteins and the thing is, I must say I smoke. That is not good. But already I changed to this new machines where you don't when you don't use the lighter. You know what I mean? It's just 300 degrees. This thing, and so the tobacco is the tobacco, is not burnt, and so you don't have these bad things in the body. You know what I mean? And I feel much better with this new system. A lot of colleagues also use that now. It was tested in Italy, and also some dancers, I don't say names, who are officially not smoking, they use that as well. And that is really very good. And so, and I must say, I'm my father, I'm from my mind, I'm on my mother, but from my body, I'm on my father. And I'm very healthy. I must knock on wood, I never had an operation. I never broke a leg or something. So and I have a good team around me who's doing the rest for my face. I have a restoration team around me who keep me in shape. I said that also on television, because I think a little bit younger than I am, So I'm not lifted, nothing, but there are some things you can do already. But for sure, I will do that once. I never will look old,
Right.
I hate to look old,
Right.
I never will look old. So you use all the possibilities you have in the modern life to keep your youth as long as possible.
Right. And so that's interesting. And how do you see, for example, the other side of things, the physical training side of things? Do you see, because I especially when I talk to my Romanian dancers, my Russian dancers, they really put a lot of emphasis of having extreme endurance. And how do you see that? Do you think we should do that more? Do you think we don't? Like, how do you see physical training and having incredible endurance in dancing? How do you see that?
I must say, when I was dancing at this time, and you see the bodies of the dancers, they had no athletic bodies. They were a little bit fat, a little bit whatever, Nobody went to the gym. When you see, and when the Russians came up, and also the Romanians, or the East Europeans, they have by nature this body. You know what I mean? They are like that. Or the Italians.
Yes.
When you see Facebook, every Italian guy on Facebook is naked on his profile picture. I don't know why, but only the Italians are naked, really naked.
They don't have t-shirts.
Yes, maybe they don't have. And the physical beauty, is very, if you see a girl and she has beautiful legs and beautiful, wow, you say, wow. And if you see the boy with the open shirt and you can see the muscles, it looks much better than if you see somebody who is a little bit fat. And already I don't know anybody who is a little bit fat. They all have great bodies, or maybe normal bodies, but the most of them, okay, they are somewhat too much. If you look like that, this is too much. There are some also, I also know a dancer from Italy. He went to the gym and he changed totally his workout to create a definition of the muscles, but not to have more muscles. You understand? Yeah. Change the system. And because if you have too much muscles, you cannot move anymore. You cannot be fast anymore. You cannot be flexible in the body anymore. That is not good. But the physical beauty in our sport is very, very important. And because of this bodybuilding mania we have already, that everybody needs to have a good body, every pop star or whatever, and Justin Bieber and blah blah blah. They all have to look like that. So it's like this. The world already is very much with pictures. Pictures. Everything is pictures or videos or blah blah blah. So how to look is very, very important. That was not important some 20 years ago, as well as 50 years ago. There was a beautiful woman was marrying a 30-year-old man who was fat, but he has a good money, so she was fine with to have a husband like that. Now also the woman say, what is that? I want to have a sexy boy with a good body. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. So, and even maybe also with money. So Melania Trump did well. She has a very rich man with also great body.
And also president. So
yes, but no great body for sure.
And do you think you need that in order to dance well? Do you need there's one, the physical aspect of physical training, and there's the other one, the actual endurance and resistance to dance, and having the ability to dance 7 finals and all those things.
Yes.
Do you think that's important too?
Yeah, it's important. Of course, you need to have the physical preparation for that, and you need also to first the look, but also you need to be able to dance all these rounds, and the solo dances, and the couples. I know all these couples how they are working, the top couples, because I'm working with all.
How are they working?
They are working that they dance finals every day. And they are working on little things like leadings, blah, blah, blah. But they're not just standing in front of the mirror and doing a little bit Roomba and then they go home. They work on these things and then they do a final, except maybe they have a combination of a weekend of show dances and a lot of competition that they dance every day their finals. So they didn't train that, so because they're used to it, But they really, I don't know any couple which is successful which is not working very hard. And you can see if couples are not working hard, you can see that they are not in a good shape, that they are not, that they get in the final, they are dead, they have no energy anymore. You can see that, and the other couples, you can see that they're really training very hard.
And that's interesting. What would you say? So I have this question and another one, and we're kind of going to wrap it up. This was an amazing discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too. And what do you think? You've been mentioning how big couples and how important couples and successful couples do it. What have you noticed? How big couples train? What have you noticed in really successful and big couples that they do, and you could share with us, and that you have trained them on? Maybe other people have trained them on. Maybe they have trained them on themselves. What do you think that makes them successful, and how they approach their training? I would say let's start on that. How do you think they approach how do they approach their training that you think is differently, and other things that they may do differently?
They are, the first thing is that you also need to be a little bit intelligent. If you are totally stupid, it's very bad, because at the end also you need to have something in your head, so to know how to do. The thing is that the couple must first be, of course, have a personality and have to sell the quality they have already, like a world champion. But they need always have to have open ears to listen to people they trust, what they have to do better. And some people, I know some also top couples who are not so successful as they like. They have the nose here and they think, who is that? Who wants to talk to me? I'm the biggest one. And that is the end of the career when you say you are the best trainer of the world. If I would say, even I have some world champions, or I teach or to work with the best couples in the world, I would never say I'm the best trainer of the world. Mamma mia, never I would say that, because that would be the end. You always have to work on yourself. I told you life is lessons, So that means to be a champion, you must have, of course, talent. You must have personality. You must work very hard in a physical way, in a technical, artistical way. And you must be a survivor. The most important thing is to be a survivor, to take it that you are, to lose a competition, to take it that you lose a title, and then, we try it again. Yeah. And as I told you, all these couples, already they went up and down and up and down, up and down. And then that's it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And how?
Well, the answer you want to hear.
Yes. I think it is. No, I think I'm okay. The last thing I would like to ask you is, what would you like the people that listen to this to hear from you that I have not asked you a question about, but you really know it's important? It may be something about the industry, maybe something about dance, maybe something about attitude or work ethic, maybe about anything. What is something that you really think it's important, and I have not asked you about, and most people don't ask you about, but you really think it's important?
Yes, I think the most important thing is to be yourself.
Right.
To have education, and to respect other people who have not your opinion.
So to be open-minded to other people's opinions.
To be open-minded to other people with other opinions. That's very, very important. If you are closed-minded, you will not improve.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dirk. This has been an amazing conversation. I'm telling you, this is great.
It was really nice, I must say. Yeah. We did for 1 hour now. I will look at you. We started at 11. So very good.
So thank you.